Welcome back to the Summer Survival Series for Moms. We are on day 3 of our 5-part series to help moms navigate the summer months with ease and enjoyment. If you missed part 1 or part 2, make sure you hop back and listen to those. This whole series is all about providing you with practical tips and strategies to help you and your kids have a really, really fantastic summer. So we are jumping into day 3 today, where we are going to be talking all about our household, keeping our household running, chores, chore charts, all those things. So as with I said yesterday, if you go to Google, if you go to Pinterest, if you're on Instagram, any of those things, you'll see summer bucket lists. You'll also see summer chore charts. Now, yesterday I talked about my beef with bucket lists. Today I'm going to talk about my beef with chore charts and what I'm doing instead, and I've seen really good success with, and I've actually, some of the research that I'm seeing around this shift, I'm loving when it comes to like mental load, and invisible labor and all of those good things that moms are like, hi, invisible load, mental labor. Yes, 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 yes. No, I said that wrong. Mental load, invisible labor. There you go. Okay, so when it comes to summer chore charts, you can find hundreds, thousands, probably millions of different chore charts out there on the internet, whether you're on Google, whether you're on Pinterest, whether you're on Instagram, whether you're on TikTok, wherever it is that you are on the internet, I'm sure there are a bajillion different summer chore charts out there. So today I'm going to throw a little spin on it because yes, I do think your kids should have responsibilities during the summer and during the school year too. But I'm not giving my kids a chore chart this summer. I'm not giving them a checklist. I'm not giving them a chore chart. Instead, what I am doing is I am putting my kids in charge of a zone. And here's why. I'm going to get to here's why. First, I want to tell you about why I don't like the chore chart. I think they're overwhelming. I think they're too rigid. I think they place extra pressure on the mom to come up with the chore chart, to laminate the chore chart, to make the chore chart cute, to nag your children about the chore chart, to make sure everything is getting done on the chore chart. It is just so much pressure to create, to manage, and to enforce a chore chart, which only adds more to your mental load and to your invisible labor, right? And that is what we're trying to get away from, not only for our own benefit, but honestly helping out the future generations so that we are giving our children's future spouses that help them out without needing to be told exactly what to do. Have you ever seen someone say, like, they're complaining about their husband? We'll just use this as an example. And it's like, he's willing to help, but it's like, I'm willing to help, just tell me what to do. And it's like, okay, but then I have to think about what to tell you to do. I would just like you to look around the house that you live in too and find something to do. This is why I love zones, because if you've grown up with chore charts, you are relying on somebody else to tell you and spell it out specifically, exactly step by step, what you are supposed to do. So that's not it's not a terrible, terrible thing, but it puts pressure on the person responsible, namely, usually the mom, you, right? We want to get away from that. We want people who can look and notice and take ownership and take responsibility. And that is why I have been loving shifting to zones instead of a chore chart. Okay. So here's the difference, going into a little bit more detail on the difference between the zones and a traditional chore charts. Like I said, traditional chore charts really spell it out. Okay. It's do this, check it off. Do this, check it off. And I won't lie, for some kids, that works great. And if you are finding success with a chore chart, by all means, run with what is working for you. Okay. Do not change something if you are finding that it is working really, really well. I'm just here to throw out something else that I find is working really well for me. It might work for you. Okay. Okay. Right. We've got that done. I'm not telling you like this is the only way to do something. You know, I don't do that here. All right, now that we've got that disclaimer out of the way. So what I love about this zone is that it focuses on areas of responsibility rather than specific tasks, and it really gives your kids a lot of benefit and you a lot of benefit. And like I said, their future families and future spouses a lot of benefit, okay? Number 1 is ownership. It really helps kids take ownership over a specific area, and it reduces the mental load of me, and it helps foster independence. Now, this might mean that I have to back off and let it not be done perfectly sometimes, okay? It's giving them that chance to take that ownership. and I'll get there on how you can make sure it gets done to your standard, okay? The second benefit that it has is the observation skill. This is the big one. This is the one that is going to help them so much as an adult, and it's going to help you too as a mom if we can start training children to notice what needs to be done without needing a detailed list. So if their zone is the kitchen, if I say, "Hey, go check your zone," they can look at the kitchen and know what is a clean kitchen supposed to look like? Does it look like that? How do I get from this point to that point? Right. They can look and notice. If their zone is the bathrooms, what are they supposed to do? If their zone is the living areas, what are they supposed to do? And I'll go over what my zones are in my home to give you kind of a good example of how we do this. And then honestly, the biggest benefit is the mental load reduction for you. You're not keeping up on every single thing they have to do. You're not nagging. You're not having to get creative and come up with like every single chore and what they need to do. All right. So the benefits there's so many, but here's the top three. Gives your kids ownership and responsibility, helps them develop that skill of observation, the notice and look and do, and then helps you with mental load. Hi, sold, right? All right. So, how do you implement the zones into your house? Because, yes, there is going to be a little bit of legwork for you up front. You can't just put something into place. You do have to have a little bit of implementation. Okay. So I have divided my home into 3 zones because I have 3 kids. So you can do whatever works for you. Here is just my example. I have divided it into kitchen and dining is 1 zone. Then living areas. Living areas is our living room off of the kitchen area, our formal front room, and then like our entryway and the stairs right there, because that kind of all bleeds in together. So that's the living areas. And then bathroom. And bathroom is the kids' bathroom upstairs and then our guest bathroom on our main floor. That's what they're responsible for. So those are our 3 zones. We do a weekly rotation of our zones. So they change every single week so that one kid isn't just like they're doing bathrooms for the rest of their life. It switches every single week, which also helps them take that ownership a little bit and that responsibility because they don't want to come into the next week having like getting tossed a dirty zone that no one took care of the week before. And they also don't want to give that, right? So they're taking ownership to make sure that their zone is taken care of because they don't want to move from they did a really good job on bathrooms and they moved to kitchen and no one did the kitchen all week last week and it's a disaster for them, right? So it creates this like sense of teamwork as well, which is a really good skill to have in a family. Okay. There's so many benefits. You guys, can you tell I'm passionate about zones? I love them. And this is not to say that it works perfectly in my house and that my house is spotless and clean and tidy every single day. We are a work in progress. Everyone is a work in progress. Okay. That's what we're here for. Um, Setting the expectations. So I have a board downstairs in our family command center that says their zones. It has them split up and then it does have a checklist of things that need to be done. That is kind of a guideline of like, hey, this is what's expected. If you like, as I'm training them to know what needs to be done in that zone, but I don't monitor it and I don't check it each time and say, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? Okay. So they do have a standard of what a cleaned zone should look like and what that expectation is. Now, for making sure that the zones get done, there's a number of things that you can do. It can be, hey, make sure your zone is done before you go out and play with kids, with other friends, before you leave this house and go and do those things. It can also be an end of the night thing. I have a timer that goes off on my phone at 7:40. It's actually been a terrible time for it to go off, so I need to check that. And just making sure. So even like twice a day, just like, hey, yeah, you're welcome to go and do whatever. Just please make sure that your zone is done. Easy peasy, right? They have to look and listen. Then if they don't get it done, that's up to you to decide how much nagging, how much mental load you want to put into that. But I do appreciate having almost like a check-in or a daily check-in. Hey, my zone is done. Great. I'm going to come take a look at it. Instead of now this is where you can help train them some more, right? Instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do this. Please go back in and do it." Because as a mom, that's definitely what we want to do, right? Because we want it to our standard. I wish I could remember who I learned this from. Someone on Instagram talking about mental load. It wasn't Dr. Morgan Cutlip, it was someone else. If I find it, I will tag her because this was such a game changer for me. It was asking after they were done with their zone. Great. Look around. Does it look like you could have done anything else? right? Because this again reinforces that look, notice, and do. And that might be where they're like, oh, you're right. There is still a pair of shoes in the middle of the living room, right? Or, oh, you're right. The counters actually didn't get wiped up. I only did the dishes. Instead of me saying, like, hey, that's great, but look, you forgot this. We're letting them notice and do and take ownership. Mm, I love it. I love zones. Can you tell? I know. I've said this so many times. All right. So that's how it works in my family. If you want an example of this, I have a quick like email PDF that I can send over to you. There's a link below, just right here underneath the episode that you can go ahead and click on that will send you all of the information that you need on how I do our zones, just as kind of an example to get you started. It has so many benefits. Again, just the learning responsibilities, how it helps them take responsibility, take ownership, take accountability. It's helping them to develop that observation skill, which is so important. Like, that is one of the number one things I want to pass on because as I've been in groups on Facebook or just other different like parenting sites or marriage sites or whatever, one of the number one complaints in a marriage and in a partnership is like, my husband is willing to help, but he wants me to tell him step by step what to do. We want to train our kids to be noticers and to be doers and to be problem solvers. And I really, really do think that zones is an easy way to help train them to do that. So it's really, really, really preparing them for future relationships. But not only that, it's really helping them right now to make our family right now a team, a teamwork family where we look, we take ownership, we take responsibility, we help each other out. And then, yeah, we don't pass on crappy zones that we didn't take care of all week because we wouldn't want that done to us as well. So I love that idea. Now, the other thing that comes into play here with chores is, do you pay your kids? Do you do all right? The allowance, the paying, all this stuff. In our family, that is where extra chores, extra money. So be above and beyond the zones, if there's anything that they want to do, that's when like a chore list, I think, is a great idea to give them extra things if they want to earn extra additional money over the summer. I don't, other than that, I don't do rewards and motivations unless it's those extra things because I'm trying to foster a team. I'm trying to foster a good team player environment here in my family. And I think with that helps us in not only just summer to really thrive and to really function really well, but in summer and beyond. So that is it for our part 3. We are heading into part 4 tomorrow, which is all about the summer slide and not the slide at the park. The summer slide of our kids literally forgetting everything they learned in the school year next year and heading into that. So that's tomorrow. See you then. Thank you for hanging out with me again today. I'm so glad you pressed play. If you want to take a quick second to share this episode with someone you think would love it too, that would be amazing. If you're loving the show, make sure you go and leave a review on iTunes. Reviews are like magic for podcasts, and your review will help get this show into the ears of more amazing women just like you. And come find me over on Instagram. I'm there at positively.jessie, and I cannot wait to hang out with you some more. So until next time, have an amazing week.